Tell me some of the experiences of the over 15,000 people you trained. Surely some of them have gone on to do great things based on what you taught them.
Yeah, we have single-handedly tracked over 100 people who've built a seven-figure Amazon business from scratch, meaning they came in with $0 and now they have $1 million plus business. Some of them have 8-figure businesses, $10 million or more. Some of them I know that we've trained from the start have sold their business for more than $10 million. And those are nice, and I like those, and those are cool. But more important to me is we have a lot of people. Really, for most people, just an extra $20,000 a year is a complete difference in lifestyle. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who don't have insurance right now. Over 50% of Americans, I think, don't have insurance. If you make an extra $20,000 a year, you can sleep well at night knowing that you're not one emergency away from bankruptcy, right? And that's nice. Or there's a lot of people who know they need a vacation and want a vacation, but they can't afford to take a vacation. And that sucks. And now they can. That extra $20,000 will change their whole life. That extra $20,000 for most people living today is the difference between being stressed out and being at ease. And so those are the types of people I really enjoy, because the Amazon business, once it gets started and gets going, it tends to stay going on its own. Whereas all these other digital businesses, the moment you stop working it is the moment it stops working for you. But Amazon has that tipping point. If I can put a product in front of a bunch of people and it's a decent product, it will stay there. And so, just work backwards. 20,000. Let's say you make $10 every time you sell a product, which is a pretty standard estimation, right? You got to sell 2,000 products a year. 2,000 products a year, 365, because your products don't take Saturdays and Sundays off. They continue to work for you. And they work double time on the holidays, because that's the best time to be on Amazon. So it's like, what do you sell in a day? I don't even know the math on that, but it's like 6, 7, 8 products a day. That's nothing. Considering Amazon, 25% of all money spent online flows through Amazon. So you tell me, 8 products a day is like a teaspoon in the ocean. It's so doable and it's so repeatable. So if you're starting off and you're so scared, pick a product that is super duper obscure that nobody would even think about trying to sell. And you could probably sell 6, 7, or 8 of those a day. And there you go. Now, did you make $1 million? No. You're not going to retire anytime soon. But now you're sleeping well at night. Now you feel comfortable about yourself. You're taking care of the financial strain in your life, and you can focus on other areas of your life. And to me, we have seen a whole bunch of people do that. And that I feel comfortable about, that I feel is reliable, and that I feel so good at helping people accomplish that. Because it really makes me feel good about my mark that I'm putting on this world.
What does the time commitment look like for someone who's looking to fall in that range of making an extra $20,000 to $36,000 per year in an Amazon business?
So I love the time question, because the real answer to that is whatever time that you can make available is enough. You just might get there a little later or a little sooner. But it's a journey, it's not a race. And less important is the amount of hours per week, and more important is the consistency. So if you say, Jason, what should I spend a week? I say, what can you absolutely guarantee me week in and week out that no matter what, you'll spend at least this amount of time? And if you say, Jason, 5 hours, done. We can make it work in 5 hours. If you say, Jason, I can do 40 hours a week, I'd probably say, no, that's too much. Because that extra 20 or 30 hours is not going to really help get you there any sooner. And so I would recommend most people take a consistent 10 hours to 15 hours a week. If you do too much more than that, you'll tend to burn out, and then you lose before you even start the game. If you do less than that, you can still get there. We've had people spend 1 hour a week, and if that's your only option, that's your only option, and it will still work if you do 1 hour a week. It's the only business I've ever seen, by the way, that does that, where you can just go slow and steady and win the race. But that sweet spot of 5 to 15 hours a week, it's the consistency that wins the game. Everybody is fast out of the gate, but who's consistent, that wins the game. And I will tell you, if you want it, 10 hours a week is there for you. If you don't want it, 1,000,000 hours a week ain't gonna get it for you.
Everyone knows that an entrepreneurial or business venture comes with risk. What kind of risk accompanies this type of business?
I love thinking about the risk, because I'm a risk-first type of guy. What's the downside? Show me the downside before you show me the upside. And there's risks. There's risks involved in everything, and there's risks involved with this one, with Amazon as well. If I source a product, I'm going to have to pay for the inventory up front. And that's going to be, you can do that for as little as $150 if you want to. I don't recommend being cheap though, just for the sake of being cheap. But if that's all you have, that's all you have. I don't recommend you spend more than $2,500 when you source your first batch of inventory, because to me that's too reckless. But let's just say you pick the worst possible product and you spend $1,500 up front to put it on there, right? I think like your Seller Central account that you use to log into Amazon and manage your account, I think that's like $40 a month. So you have that at risk, right? And then you have your time. So yeah, there's some risk involved. And yeah, you got to pay some money up front. Unlike these things that say, hey, you get started for free. I found free means free in money, which means not free in time. But this is less in time and more with an initial commitment. So here's what typically happens. This is the risk. The risk is you will sell that inventory out, because Amazon is so massive and so big, and it's based on keyword searches, that somebody will put in a random enough string of keywords that your product will show up. So you will eventually sell all your product. So you will make money, but it might take you 3, 4, 5, 6 months to get there if you messed everything up. And that's what I tell clients. I say, isn't that amazing? It's going to be very hard for you to lose unless you want to treat this as a lottery ticket. Then you'll lose probably, because you'll be disappointed. Why didn't I make $1 million the moment I listed my product on Amazon? Well, I hate to tell you, it doesn't work that way, you know? But very often the risk involved is you're going to spend some time and money up front. You're going to have to wait a month or two to see a return on that, maybe 3 months. But then when you turn that corner, it's beautiful. The biggest risk, and sounds crazy, is because the business becomes so hands-off, sometimes my clients kind of fall asleep at the wheel. And then after making, 80, 90, 100, 120,000 year one or year two, they just let their listing go to crap. They don't make sure that their reviews are coming in consistently, and that if there's a bad review, that they take care of that customer, or they don't check their listing every once in a while to make sure it stays on page one. And so the biggest risk is complacency. And I don't know how to solve that one, but other than to warn against it. But yeah, the beautiful thing about this is there's very little risk involved, and I'm much more into businesses these days that are very little risk. But unlike Uber, which everybody wants to drive Uber now, Uber is barely above minimum wage for most people. Yeah, there's no risk involved whatsoever in that. Well, maybe there's some risk involved. You could get hit by the car or whatever, but you got to take some risk. But this has so little risk involved and so high of a potential. To me, it just makes sense.
What's fascinating to me is that I always look for projects that don't just grow under my energy, but it also grows under someone else's energy. So when we do a film, we make films that other people want to hear about. What I'm getting from what you're saying is that you're harnessing the power of Amazon and the billions of dollars that they're spending on developing a search engine. And it's available to anybody that wants to set up a store. It's astounding.
If you go through the history of industry, and you see there's always a period in history where a rush of millionaires are made. Like the gold rush is an example of that. And when they started laying the railroad, there's an example of that. The steel industry, there's an example of that. And the automobile industry, there's examples of that. We have these periods in history where there's a whole bunch of millionaires made, and then we have these gaps where there are not that many millionaires made. And every single time you see this windfall of millionaires that just seem to fall out of the sky, it's because somebody has made a pipeline. And Amazon is the virtual pipeline. It is the glue that connects every household in the United States to a purchase that can be made on the phone with a high reliability, that they know that I'm not buying from some stranger who's going to steal my money, rip me off, and then sell my information on the black market. They are buying from a reliable source, just like their dry cleaner when they drop it off and they ask how the Little League game was with their kids, right? That's what Amazon is. It's a pipeline. It is just freshly laid. It's the railroad just freshly laid. It's the steel industry just getting up and going. And you have the opportunity to sit at the table with the founders, and you're going to get in on those contracts, and you're going to get in on the land that's not claimed right now. And that's the beauty of what Amazon is. Amazon has presented this thing, but Amazon spent 22 years before it actually turned a profit. Something ridiculous like that. I think it was 19 to 22 years, something insane. And they invested hundreds of billions of dollars to make that happen. Now it's only finally paying off for them. And that's beautiful because nobody else could do that. But when Amazon did that because Amazon knew everybody's going to want to come to us. Everybody will eventually have to come to us. But we're in that period of time right now where we get to choose to go to them. We're not forcing. So if we're there first, we're going to win. We're going to take advantage of that. And Amazon absolutely wants that. Amazon wants the following. They want you to wake up one day and say, I want the most obscure thing in the world, and I want it with pink polka dots. And then you plug it in, and Amazon just so happens to have that product. But they need you, they need me to supply those products. They've taken care of the hard part, which is the pipeline, and we just need to put the products in. Now, if you wait 3, 5, 6 years, it's going to be back to business as usual. Just like if you waited 3 or 4 or 5, 6 years to get in on the gold rush, you were picking through crumbs. So there's urgency involved here. And the quicker you get in, the better it is. And it's not because you're smarter than the next guy. It's just because opportunity knocked and you actually decided to open the door. And that's what Amazon, I feel what Amazon represents. And it's not always going to be that way, but it is that way right now.